Why do I eat cancer even though I have sugar? That's a question that probably doesn't make sense to you because I said it upside down. But even if I did say it right side up, it might not have made sense to you depending on what you believe. So obviously the question is, why do I eat sugar even though I have cancer? And the reason why I'm saying that might not make sense to you is because if you believe in, normal modern medicine, this has absolutely nothing to do with cancer. But if you believe in alternative medicines, especially when it comes to cancer, you've probably heard this concept multiple times. I have heard it dozens and dozens of times at this point. There's two that I keep hearing over and over again, and they're both related. And that is sugar is what feeds cancer. So, in order to eliminate cancer from your body, you need to reduce drastically the amount of sugar that you consume, including fruits, including carbs, because that turns to sugar in your body. So we're not just talking about like desserts and pop and stuff like that. We're talking about like drastically diminishing the amount of sugar that you consume in all forms. The other concept that's commonly referred to when it comes to cancer and curing it in alternative medicine is the concept that cancer grows in an acidic environment. So, in order to basically keep it from growing, you need to change the environment of your body to go from acidic to alkaline, which is mostly achieved, once again, by reducing the amount of sugar that you consume. So that's why a lot of people use that strategy to get rid of cancer. And just to make it clear, I'm not knocking that strategy whatsoever. I did it for multiple months in the beginning when I was first diagnosed, and I completely understand the logic behind it. It makes a lot of sense. However, the reason why I stopped is simply for, well, not simply, it's not simple. Nothing is ever simple. But the reason why I stopped is for a few different reasons. First of all, is because I've always eaten a lot of fruits throughout my life. I love fruits, they're such a big part of my diet. And by forcing myself to eliminate that from my diet, I was making myself completely miserable. So that was one of the main reasons why eventually I decided to stop. And just to be clear, I still eat very healthily. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and the I try to prepare everything myself. I almost never eat at restaurants. I At this point I don't eat any desserts. The only exception was a couple weeks ago for my birthday, and even then I was honestly kind of disappointed by cake. I'm just like, wow, I remember desserts being better than this. So I really don't have the craving for sugar anymore. That being said, I do eat fruits. I do eat carbs. I do eat things that produce sugar in my body. So that's what I mean by, that's the whole point of this video. It's like, why do I choose to eat sugar or consume products, consume elements? Wow, that was a Frenchism. Consume produce that I know will create sugar in my body. Why do I choose to do that? The reason is because I'm a very logical, rational, analytical person. And logically, this does not make sense. Like, yes, I understand all the logic behind this. And I understand why a lot of people have used this to cure themselves. But at the same time, I also understand logically, if sugar was what gave people cancer, everybody in the world would have cancer. And that is not the case. So, logically speaking, that cannot be the end all, be all reason and the end all, be all solution. Because I believe that at the end of the day, there is no one right way that suits everyone. It's a question of doing whatever feels right to you. And for a while, eliminating sugar and fruits and everything like that from my diet, from my life, felt like the right thing. Eventually, it stopped feeling like the right thing. So I stopped doing it, transitioned to doing other things, which is what I'm now doing. And that's the thing. I'm a kind of a contradiction. As I said, I'm a very logical, rational, analytical person, which is why I'm able to have all these. Because since the beginning of this, so many people have suggested so many different strategies, and I've been able to use my analytical, rational brain to analyze all those different things and determine what makes sense to me, what doesn't make sense to me, and to use whatever made sense to me and reject whatever didn't make sense. So it's like I've used that skill, but at the same time, the reason why I was saying that I'm kind of a walking contradiction is I've also become very, very good at sensing what is right and what is not right for me. And once again, let me kind of go back to the beginning. In the beginning, when I was first diagnosed 11 months ago, my rationale was I'm going to do every single thing imaginable to find a cure. I'm not going to give up until I find a cure. I am going to be the first person in the world to do this with this type of cancer, stage 4 and everything. That was my rationale. But then, as I started to share and everything, and so many people gave so many suggestions, I realized, well, first of all, it's impossible for me to do everything, not just because I don't have the budget, but also because there's a lot of things that contradict each other, and doing them would cancel each other out. So I quickly realized I can't do everything. And that's when I was able to lean into that other skill that I have that I've developed, and I've developed even more over the last 11 months. And it's the skill of really sensing what is right for me. And I want to make that very clear, for me. That does not mean it's right for everyone. Just like I was saying before, I completely understand the logic behind removing sugar, behind changing the environment of your body from acidic to alkaline. All that makes sense. I tried it for a while. I felt right. I'm moving on. I'm not saying it's wrong for everyone. I'm just sensing that's not what I'm meant to do now. What I currently believe is the cause of my cancer, and probably the cause of most cancers, or at least a lot of cancers, is stress, chronic stress throughout our lives. The kind of stress that is there, it's such a deep and ingrained part of us that we're not aware of it. Stress is like trying to please everyone, trying to buy love, sensing like there's an emptiness inside that you need to fill, sensing like, oh, I need to be successful, I need to build a business, I need to, whatever that is. I'm just giving kind of examples of what was causing the stress in my life, that chronic stress that I wasn't necessarily aware of, but it was always there, always present. So I do believe that is a very, very big part of why I got this cancer. There's also the fact that, I did manifest this. I've, always been a storyteller. I've always wanted, well, not always, but for a good chunk of my life, I wanted to be a motivational speaker, to share my story, to inspire others. And I thought that in order to do that, I needed that epic, like life or death origin story, which I'm now living. So I know that part of the reason why I have this is because I manifested that, because I thought that was necessary to become the version of myself that I wanted to be. I now realize that was not necessary, but it's still what I chose. It's still what I manifested. So I believe it's a combination of that. I believe it's a combination of the chronic stress that we all have in our lives. And I believe it's because I thought I needed this and I manifested it. And I'm learning everything that I need from this. That's why I don't regret anything. And also because of the shift, basically the rebirth, whatever that I had a couple months ago. I never know how to describe it, how to explain it. But ever since that, it's like all that stress, all that pressure and worry and everything that I had throughout my life, that's gone. So it's like, that's why I'm saying at this point on, like I am going to be cured by this time next year, because what was causing that, the reason why I developed this cancer, is gone. It's no longer part of me. So now it's just a question of living as this new version of myself, this healed version of myself, and just waiting for the world, for the universe to reflect that. That way it's like I'm already cured inside, in my brain, in my belief. Now it's just a question of the universe and the world reflecting that. So that's why I have this mindset, and that's why I consume sugar, even though there's a lot of people, especially in the alternative cancer treatment, that believe that sugar is kind of like the worst thing you can ever do. So I eat very healthily. I don't actually consume sugar, but what I'm saying is I do consume stuff that creates sugar in my body. So just wanted to kind of explain that, because I feel like I never took the time to do it. So Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. And of course, it never works. Like 50% of the time, I try to stop and it doesn't work. And honestly, I kind of like it just because I find it hilarious. So let me stare at the button, and I'll talk to you next time.